President. I'd like to welcome the Mille members and guests to our annual meeting, including all of those that are attending online. That's something new this year. We have a quorum present, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Also like to announce that Henry Brucker has been appointed the parliamentarian. Henry is with Ryan and Brucker Limited and will be our parliamentarian for the meeting this evening. In the minutes that you received when you registered, you should have had an annual report in your booklet. And that report will have the minutes in it. For those that are attending online, the digital version of the annual report can be found on our website. We'll disperse with the reading of those minutes. A copy has been included and is available for you. Is there a motion and a second to approve the minutes? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your delegate card. All those opposed, raise your delegate card. Carried. We have 398 registered members in attendance with a total attendance of 694. Probably one of the best turnouts we've had for a long time. We also have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as printed. All those in favor, please raise your delegate card. Opposed? Carried. The auditing firm of Eide Bailey conducted an audit of our financial records as of December 31st, 2023, in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. In their opinion, the financial statements presented fairly reflect the financial position of Mille Energy Cooperative. The full report can be seen at our office. Is there a motion and a second to approve the audit report? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your delegate card. Opposed? Carried. Start off with, I'm going to have a few introductions. Start with the Mille Board of Directors. District 1, Mark Anderson. Yes. District 2, Carol Pudd. District 3, I'm already standing myself. District 4, Eileen Domingue. District 5, Don Apple. District 6, Bruce Robinson. And District 7, Mike Green. The Mille Management Team, Sarah Crone, CEO. Corey Bricks, Construction and Right-of-Way Manager. Tony Anderson, Engineering and Energy Services Manager. Mark Boseke, Accounting and Finance Manager. Mary Ward, Human Resource Manager. Others that are here is Deborah Shute, Administrative Services Supervisor. Nikki Kramer, Assistant to the Administrative Services Manager. And all of the employees that have been working today that really, really made this turn out okay. I give them a big round of applause. Thank you. They put a lot of work into this. Are there any former board members in attendance? I saw a couple earlier. Vern, you want to stand up? Vern Water? Anybody else? Welcome, I'm glad you're all here. Our election judges today are Lori Packer and Kristen Miller. They are counting the ballots received today and will add them to the votes received by mail and online for announcement of final results later this evening. In districts 2, 6, and 7, there were only 3 members who filed for the 3 open director positions. So according to Article 2, Section 8 of our bylaws, these directors have been elected by acclamation and no vote is needed. Congratulations to Carol Punt, Bruce Robinson, and Mike Green. They will serve as your directors for the next term. Special thanks to RJ Broadcasting for conducting our online coverage and radio advertising for the event. Carrie Lynn of the Dynamite Reflections for our wonderful stage and sound setup. Log Home Woodfire Pizza, Barajas Mexican Grill, and Pit Happens Barbecue for being our food vendors and providing tasty meals. And even though they ran out of food, I apologize. We had no way of knowing how many people we were going to have here, so thanks for bearing with us. And then again, all of the black staff that worked so hard on this. So, welcome home. Welcome to our 2024 annual meeting. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to spend this evening with us and your fellow members. I view this as an opportunity to share with you what we've been doing and to also hear from you any concerns or suggestions for improvement you may have. I want to thank all of the Mille employees and directors for the planning, promotion, and their work here tonight with registration, open house tours, and assistance. You make this evening possible and successful. Thank you. We have a full agenda tonight. The speakers will provide background information and insight into the last year of activity. We'll answer some of the questions we've already received. If you still have questions, please fill out the Ask the Co-op card, and they will be collected later in the evening. If your question is not addressed tonight, we will contact you with a response. Hopefully you all had a time to tour our new facility. This facility has been a long time in the making. It's been a topic of discussion in the boardroom for the last 10 years or so, and is now a reality. Sarah will provide more information on this new building in her remarks. I would like to take a few minutes to give an update on our power and transmission supplier, Great River Energy. We are an all requirements member owner of GRE. This means we are contractually obligated to purchase all of the energy we provide from them, and this is under contract through 2050. GRE continues to transition its power supply portfolio to support its members and adapt to a changing market while charting a path to achieve carbon-free energy requirements, all while recording strong financial results. Great River Energy again rewarded its member investment in the cooperative by issuing $25 million in patronage capital returns. Historically strong 2023 margins allowed the cooperative to meet annual financial goals and reserve nearly $30 million to offset rates in the years ahead. As a not-for-profit cooperative, GRE operates at cost to keep rates low for its members. Its competitive advantage widened again in 2023, and Great River Energy currently offers wholesale electric rates approximately 20% below the weighted regional average. Great River Energy has been thoughtfully planning and executing the transition of its power supply portfolio for more than a decade. They began 2023 by adding 2 new wind agreements to its growing portfolio of renewable resources that will collectively add more than 300 megawatts of nameplate generating capacity and 0 emissions. GRE now has power purchase agreements for the output of 9 wind facilities located throughout Minnesota, Iowa, and the Dakotas. Its portfolio of renewable resources, combined with the ability to retire earned renewable energy credits, puts the cooperative in a strong position to achieve Minnesota's carbon-free standard. By making strategic investments in the grid, Great River Energy and its member owners are helping keep electricity reliable and affordable as it reduces carbon dioxide emissions. The Midwest Grid Operator identified an assortment of transmission projects that will be needed to continue safe and reliable electric service as the regional power supply continues to evolve. GRE is teaming up with Minnesota Power to build the Northland Reliability Project, an approximately 180-mile double-circuit 345 kV transmission line between northern and central Minnesota. When completed in 2030, the line will bolster the power grid in northern and central Minnesota by allowing more renewable energy sources to be delivered where needed. They're also a member of Grid North Partners, a group of utilities that collaborates on projects to improve the electric system. The coalition announced 19 transmission upgrade projects that will reduce system congestion and allow the most economic generation, such as low-cost renewable energy, to serve an area. But they didn't stop there. A significant leap in energy technology occurred in August as Great River Energy and a company called Form Energy broke ground on the first of its kind 1.5 megawatt multi-day energy storage project in Cambridge, Minnesota. The Cambridge Energy Storage Project is aimed at addressing one of the most critical challenges in the energy sector: reliable, long-term energy storage. The pilot project will deploy Form Energy's iron-air battery technology capable of storing energy for up to 100 hours, far exceeding the capabilities of traditional lithium-ion batteries. By storing excess energy generated during periods of high production and releasing it during times of peak demand or low renewable energy output, the technology has the potential to enhance grid stability and reliability. Collaboration is not only a cooperative principle, but an important characteristic in Great River Energy's pursuit of funding opportunities. Great River Energy, along with the majority of its member owners, filed a letter of interest with the United States Department of Agriculture to participate in its Empowering Rural America, the new ERA program, to become eligible for nearly $1 billion in federal funds to advance the work of Minnesota's electric cooperatives in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and modernize the region's power grid. The $9.7 billion new ERA program, New Era program, was created as part of the Inflation Reduction Act with the goal of helping rural America transition to cleaner, reliable, and more affordable energy. These are all examples of the leadership GRE has in the industries. Other G&Ts across the country look to GRE leadership and ask just how they're able to do all that they do. We are very pleased that they are our power supply. I hope this gives you some idea of what we consider as we manage Mille Energy Cooperative, not just for today, but for years in the future, and this building is part of that. The future is filled with uncertainties: political, climate, costs, weather, and more. Please be assured that your elected directors, management team, and all employees will strive to manage this uncertain future with your best long-term interest in mind. Thank you for attending the 2024 annual meeting. Welcome home. this time, I'd like to call on our CEO, Sarah Crone, to give her CEO report. Sarah?
As always, I hate following Harold. He always gives such a good report. Kind of hard to beat. We're having our meeting in the fall this year, so we could showcase our new building. And how about that? Almost 700 people came through our doors today. It's amazing to think that we've worked 3 years for this and we have this outcome, and we had such great support from our community, from our staff, from the board of directors, and it just warms my heart. Thank you so much to everybody that stayed for the whole meeting and took time to visit with us today. I also really want to call out, as Harold did, all my staff. I have so many, I call them my mama bear moments. I was just so proud of the people that I work with every single day. And they pulled this off. They did an amazing job. 100% participation by the entire staff, and they're just sticking around till the very end to make sure everything gets done appropriately. And I just couldn't thank them enough. So another round of applause for the great staff at MLAC. You know, it's interesting, our boards kind of come full circle with if you look at the incorporators of this board of directors, and the very first building that Mille ever built was under the heavy hand of Mr. Benjamin Franklin Ream. And today we have Mr. Mike Ream, re-elected to the board and doing a great job in helping us move this whole process forward. And so how about a big hand for the Ream family? I'm going to share some slides with you tonight about our progress that we've made, mainly in 2023, even though we're so far into 2024. But we're going to focus on those, and I'll have Cassie help me with my slides. So tonight I want to cover a little bit about the new facility. I want to talk about some of the financial impacts of 2023. And a big question we've had is, let's talk about that base fee. And so we will talk about that tonight. And I think I have some good slides that I hope will help explain a lot of that. We're going to talk about some reliability concerns, about our successful fiber business, and strategic planning. And I know that many of you filled out the pink comment cards, and we'll definitely get to as many of those as we can today. If we don't get all your questions answered, we'll definitely follow up with you after the meeting. So our new facility, everybody, I think, gosh, we gave about 100 tours, I think, today. So I hope everybody got a chance to look around and see what it has to offer. Definitely built with the future in mind. Looking at not only space, but technology, and even unthought of advancements that we're going to have in the energy industry. We want to make sure that we built a facility that's going to sustain for the next 80 years. We built this facility in every way to make MLAC run more effectively and efficiently. Right down to how we laid out the copy machines, how we laid out the break room, the interaction between staff, collaboration, comfort for this room for the men when they get in here at 2 o'clock in the morning and have to go out and get the lights back on. So everything in this building was well thought out. And we did have 100% participation by every single employee here to get their word in on what they wanted in a new facility. And I know we can always fall short of the mark, but I think we did a pretty good job on this one. One thing that I want to mention about this project is that we had a very tight construction budget that we wanted to meet. And I'm really proud to say that with the help of our builder partner, McGough, we were able to come in under budget and ahead of schedule on this project. And although the results are preliminary, we're looking at least $500,000 under budget. Stay tuned for the final numbers, but we're really proud of how that came in. So in the co-op world, in the electric co-op world, we use things called the Key Ratio Trend Analysis, or the KRTA. And that's a big report that is about 140 ratios that compares where your electric cooperative is to other electric cooperatives our size, cooperatives across the nation, cooperatives that maybe are involved in the fiber business. And so we use these ratios to look at just kind of how we stack up. We also use our annual financial reports and some industry data. And so today I just really wanted to talk about facts, because I think it's easy to get lost in things that you might not know or things you heard somebody say. So I just want to talk about some facts up today, and we got some good ones. I also want to emphasize why we're here. And it's important that we never forget, me, my board, my staff, that we never forget that we're here solely to serve you, our member. We're a not-for-profit organization, and our whole goal is to provide you with safe, reliable electricity and now fiber internet, and do so at the lowest possible cost. The co-op business model is unique. The money that we get from you all when you pay your bills is used to pay our bills. We put a little extra in savings for emergencies, but everything else that we have left over goes back to you in the form of capital credits. And you'll notice over the last few years we had record capital credits that we gave back to our members. That was due largely to fiscal responsibility from your MLEC management team, but also from the fiscal responsibility of Great River Energy. They gave us a lot of rebates and credits back in the last few years, and so we wanted to turn those right back over to you. We did see some budgeting challenges in 2023. You all heard of supply chain issues. We've had them in just amazing ways. We have difficulty getting the products we need to keep the lights on. And when we order them and get them in, they're anywhere from 60 to 100% higher in costs than they were in 2020. So we've been battling that challenge that every other business in the country has. We've had a lot of high plant additions. When you consider not only the new building, we've put in some substation transformers, we've had some line extensions, lots of things that are really capital intense in our business. And we pay our rates in two ways. We pay our bills either through rates from you all, our ratepayers, or we take out loans. And so we have those two methodologies for being able to pay our bills. We had this record low interest, and now it just moved into almost, for our recent experience, high interest rates. Nothing compared to the 80s, but we have had some high interest rates. And also we've caught up on some rate stabilization, I guess is a good way to put it. We kept rates stable for so long, and then we couldn't absorb all of these increases anymore. And so all of that combined are some of the challenges we've had to figure out how to face, and in that comes that base fee that we're going to talk about. And I indicated we have two ways to pay our debt. We collect money from our ratepayers, or we take out loans. We have razor thin margins here. We don't have a lot of left over at the end of the day after we pay our bills. And we want to make sure that we get all of our construction handled so that we can increase reliability for you all. And while Mark is going to go into a pretty in-depth picture of what our finances are, I want to go over some really high-level numbers that I think answer that base fee question. So in 2023, our operating expenses associated with maintaining and constructing power lines were $12.8 million. We have 2,018 miles of line. So just the math, you divide that 12.8 million by 2,000, and it comes up to $6,383 to build and maintain 1 mile of line. Now bear with me, I know this is math's a tough one this late at night after we have full bellies, but we have 6.76 members for each mile of line, okay? If you take that number of a mile of line of $6,383, it comes out to $944. So every member in this room contributes $944 to build and maintain 1 mile of power line. And now keep in mind that since 2020, our expenses have gone up 60 to 100%. And that's really nationally, we've seen those increases. And so I think it's important to ask, why does this matter to you? So at Mille, we have an extraordinarily unique member base. 91% of our accounts are residential. And of that 91%, a full 46 are seasonal. So if you go to the cities and you look at like Xcel Energy and you walk around town, you see lots of businesses, you see lots of houses. We have 6 consumers per mile of line, and that's our average. And when you look at Xcel, they have 45 consumers per mile of line. So they have 45 people paying for a mile of power line and the equipment associated with that, and we have 6.7. So if you think about that, the responsibility of the consumer, it's a pretty high responsibility when you get in the rural areas. So I want you to focus on the 46% of our accounts that are seasonal. And we value our seasonal accounts as much as we value our permanent residential accounts. But the data that we have and that we look at every year shows that the residential consumer uses about 1,000 kilowatt hours per month, and our seasonal accounts use about 412. And so when you look at the bill that comes in from our permanent residential accounts, and we're collecting a far different amount from those that use a lot of power versus those that don't use a lot of power. And some of our seasonal accounts shut down their power for 3, 4, 5 months out of the year and don't use anything at all. So we had to figure out a way that we were going to spread these fixed costs that I just mentioned and these costs that have expanded over the entire member base in a fair way. And that's why we came up with the process of increasing the base fee to the $49. And it's important to remember that if you flip the switch, you want that power to be there, and we don't think about the things that go along with that. And we want to make sure that we're getting a fair cross mix of the base fee to pay for those fixed costs. And that's why the base fee is where it's at. And it's a fair way to make sure that whether you use power or you use a little power or you don't use any power, everybody is adequately paying for that base fee. So I hope that clears up what the base fee is, why we have it, and why it increased so much. And know that the numbers were created to make sure that we evenly split that fee between everybody regardless of their power usage. And to be honest, Mark will talk about this today in his financial report. The base fee did exactly what it's intended to do, and we're looking at having another strong financial year in 2024. Next, I want to talk a little bit about reliability. In 2023, we had 1,199 outages. And does anybody have an idea of what they think the number one reason we have power outages is? Anyone? Mr. Reed? Squirrels. That's number 2. Small animal outages are number 2. The biggest reason we have power outages are scheduled and planned maintenance. And so 600 of our power outages last year were due to planned maintenance. We have equipment failure, animals, storms, weather. We even have public incidents. You can see that car on the pole there. That was a very frightening person that got in that accident. But in spite of all of these numbers and the time that it feels like our power is out, we have our power on 99.97% of the time. And that is due in part to our right-of-way clearing. It's due in part to our plant investments, equipment upgrades, line upgrades. And so we'll never get to 100%, but I am focusing on keeping it right around that 99.97% of the time. And I think that's a good number to be proud of. I also want to touch on our fiber business. It has been an exciting couple of years with fiber, and we've been getting a lot of grants, and that's helping us grow this business. In 2023, we ended up with 1,386 fiber customers, about 190 more than the year before. The other exciting thing is just since 2017, when we started this business, we've always had a loss for the year on the fiber business unit from their side of the books. And in 2022, the loss was $2.17 per fiber consumer. In 2023, we ended with a gain of $6.13 per consumer per month. And so that is exciting for us to find out that one of our business units that we've expanded into is now making money, and we're looking forward to extending that service, growing our business, and continue to make it a break-even, if not slightly possible, business venture for Mille Energy. I want to close talking about strategy and let you know that what we do here at Mille isn't something that we just kind of pluck out of the air. We really spend a lot of time working on our strategic initiatives and how they matter to the member, to all of you. And in 2020, we had a strategic plan where we focused on 7 strategic initiatives, and there were an additional 20 that we had on deck in case we had extra time. I'm really proud to say that my staff was able to complete all 27 initiatives from our 2020 strategic plan, and that did include building this facility. The board and the staff met recently to discuss our next set of strategic initiatives, and we discovered that we had a common theme between board and staff, and we want to work on communications, continuing to keep our communications with you, our members, strong, reliability, and that will include a lot of plant upgrades in addition to everything we've already done, rate stability, and that's always the one that hits you all the most right in your pocketbook, and we understand that, so we're working with our power provider to see what we can do to help keep rates stable, and continue development of our critical infrastructure, both electricity and fiber. And we want you to remember that every day, every decision we make is with you in mind, with the end goal to provide you with safe, reliable power and technology at the lowest cost possible. So again, I want to thank everybody who came out tonight and stayed until the end to listen to what we had to say. And thank you for participating in our democratic process, and we're proud to have you all as members.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out today, and I hope you took time to take a look at our facility and meet a few of our wonderful staff here. My name is Mark Vasasic. I'm the finance manager for Mille Energy Cooperative, and I'm going to do a short presentation on the 2023 year-end results. Our total revenue for 2023 was $30.7 million, which was an increase of $2.2 million from 2022. Our operating margins ended just short of 1.7 million, or 5.5% of revenue. Last year's operating margins were 1.16 million, or 4.1% of revenue. That's an increase of $500,000 from 22 to 23. Non-operating margins had a $1 million increase, mostly coming from a patronage allocation from our power supplier, Great River Energy. Other items included in the non-margins are interest income, sales from generators and other electrical services, our fiber and satellite services. This slide shows the number of services by class. We continue to have small increases in residential services. This accounts for most of the increase year over year. Seasonal members have remained steady. The two classes together combine for over 90% of our total services. This year we also saw a small increase in small commercial businesses, which is very good to see. This slide shows the kilowatts sold by category. We had about a 5% decline in the total kilowatts that we sold from 2,006 million in 22 to 195 million in 23. All categories declined anywhere from 3 to 7%. This slide shows our electric sales revenue by class. We did have an 8% increase in overall revenue, primarily driven from the access charge that went into effect in April of 23. Without that increase, the co-op's financial position would not be as good as it is today. If you remember the number of services slide, the residential and seasonal numbers were only about 4 or 5 percentage points apart. Our seasonal members use far less electricity, as Sarah pointed out just a little while ago, so they generate about half the revenue of the residentials. In the next slide here, we have, it shows how your money is spent. The largest expense to the co-op by far is the electric power we purchase from GRE. They get, in 2023, they got about 55 cents of every dollar that we build. And that's actually down 5% from the prior year, which goes along with the amount of, the total cost of power was $16.1 million, and that's 5% down from what it was the prior year. That's in line with the amount of kilowatts that were sold. As a percentage of revenue, the total of the distribution, customer service, and admin fees or costs went up by about 5.5%. Depreciation was up slightly, while interest expense was down slightly. And the best reason for that, or one of the reasons for that, is while building the building here, we actually were able to use some of our own cash and not borrow right away. So interest rates have actually come down a little bit, so we'll probably won't be as bad in the long run. Next slide. Looking at the asset side of our balance sheet, we can see that the total utility plant went up by almost $10 million. Most of that is from the building being under construction at the end of the year. We also increased other property investments by $1 million. Our total current assets went up by slightly over $2 million. Overall, our total assets of $100.8 million is an increase of $12 million from the year end of 2022. And then the other side of our balance sheet is your equity liabilities and current liabilities. Your members' equity, the amount that will eventually be returned back to members, went up by $2.7 million. Long-term debt increased by $4.4 million, and our current liabilities increased by $5.3 million. Most of that is actually was in the accounts payable and directly related to the construction of the building. Mille Energy Cooperative finished 2023 in a strong financial position. All of our key financial ratios continue to be favorable with other co-ops of similar size. Despite the challenges of lower energy sales, supply shortages, increased costs from inflation, and preparing to construct a new headquarters, the nonstop efforts to provide services in an effective manner from the entire MLEC workforce has made a difference. Investing in technology and equipment is essential to maintaining our efficiency and a solid financial position. We'll continue to search for additional opportunities in the years to come. And again, I would like to thank you all for coming out, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarah and Mark, for your reports. Helps give an understanding of where we're at, where we're going. At this time, I'm proud to present our speaker for the evening. I'd like to have you welcome Jim Frizzell, Vice President and Principal of McGough Construction. He's the one that's solely responsible for this building you're in. Well, maybe not solely. Welcome, Jim.
Well, I wish I was solely responsible, but I'm not, for sure. I'm a simple contractor, no slides, no math, so you can relax. I first want to thank Sarah and the board for trusting McGough to do their building. We think it turned out fantastic. I hope you do too. I'm going to talk about 4 items. I'm going to talk a little bit about our local participation, timeline, challenges, and some unique aspects of the project. So, we tried to use as much local help as we could where available. We used Ace Timberline Building in Deerwood for all our lumber, hardware, miscellaneous supplies. Haskamp Brothers did the well here. They're from Aiken. We used Ritter Sewer and Excavating for the sewer. Septic system, they're also from Aiken. We used Semstone Concrete for all the concrete in the building here, again from Aiken. And then some of the surrounding communities, we used subcontractors like Landwehr Construction out of Brainerd. They had almost a $2 million contract doing all the excavation, paving, and utilities. Thielen Roofing, again from Brainerd, did all the roofing for us. St. Cloud Acoustics did the acoustical tile. And the biggest single subcontractor we had was RJ Mechanical out of Mora. So the rest of the subcontractors were generally from the Duluth area. There was a couple from the Twin Cities where it was the only place we could get availability, the precast, the steel. So we did the best we could. A little sidebar before I get into the timeline. In my 49 years with McGough, I know it seems like forever, but the best projects that we do are the projects where we have owner involvement. And I can say this project, we did have owner involvement. Sarah, Corey, Scott, Tony, to name a few, were with us every step of the way. And we had numerous meetings, and they were there all the time, and I think that was one of the reasons this turned out so well. Oh, I'm sorry, you couldn't hear me? I guess I'm too tall. Is that better? I'll try to get a little closer. Better yet? Okay. There we go. I was just saying that owner involvement, owner participation really makes for a much better building, and we certainly had that here with the co-op. Also, Sarah and her team had the ability to make changes on the fly, which really helped us and streamlined the process and made things more economical for changes. And lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge, I'm going to bend down a little bit, acknowledge the whole team, the architect, the owner's rep, all work together with the same goal of trying to provide the best building for the best dollar amount for the co-op. So I've been in projects that haven't gone so well. This one went very well, all because of teamwork. Timeline. We were selected in an interview process in September of 2022. Actually, September 12th, I remember the day. I know Sarah and the architect and the owner's rep had worked probably for a year prior to that, or maybe many years prior to that, but we came on board in 2022. We worked for a year with Sarah and the team, massaging the plans, reviewing the plans, making sure it was the right plan for the co-op and the right budget for the co-op. In May of 2023, Corey and the co-op cleared the trees on the site. I think they cleared 17 acres of trees. It's a 31-acre site, so about half the site remains wooded and half the site was cleared for this building. In June of 2023, we got authorization from the co-op to order all the long lead materials. And somebody mentioned it earlier, but in today's economy, there aren't materials sitting on the shelf. The precast took 6 months to get from the day we ordered it. There was electrical equipment that took almost a year to get from the day we ordered it. So with a lot of pre-planning, we were able to order all this material so it came just in the right sequence of when we needed it. In August of 23, we started on site with the goal of having the building enclosed by December of 23, which we did meet. And we wanted the building to be weather tight before winter so we didn't have to pay all the costs to heat the building with plastic and all the other things through the winter. So that worked out quite well. We didn't realize at the time that we were going to have one of the mildest winters that we've had in years, but we had to be prepared. And then on August 24, the building was substantially complete and the owner moved into the building. So approximately 1 year for planning and 1 year for construction. Some of the challenges that we had during the process, and this will be no surprise to everybody, was the budget. Everybody has big eyes at the beginning, and at some point the reality of the budget hits in and we have to sit down and work through the process. So that's what I was talking about. We spent a year turning page after page, looking at detail after detail, cutting where we had to cut, modifying where we had to modify. And it actually is a good process because you get the exact building you need, no more, no less. So it worked very well. We scrutinized all parts of the building, all details in the building. And then after a year of that process, we came to an agreement, signed a contract, and started construction. But just to give you an idea of some of the reductions we made to meet the budget, we found out through our investigation process that the building was a little larger than it needed to be. So we deducted 3,000 square feet from the building. And we called it right-sizing the building. And I think the building is the right size now, and we saved a significant amount of money by reducing the building 3,000 feet. We reduced the in-floor heat. Initially, in-floor heat was throughout the whole building. We thought that was maybe unnecessary. The in-floor heat now is only in the critical areas. We looked at alternative finishes and materials, made some changes there that saved money. And we also looked at all the mechanical and electrical systems, and with the co-op's great knowledge in electrical, they helped direct us in a lot of changes in the electrical system that further saved us some money. And I think everybody knows, but I want to repeat this entire building, mechanical system, heating and cooling is all driven by electrical power. Electrical power drives this entire building. The one exception is the generator outside, the emergency generator, and that has a diesel tank underneath to run during an emergency, but the co-op is totally electric, which makes sense. We did defer a few things. There was an external truck wash outside, and we moved that inside temporarily, and you're probably wondering why the walls are painted white back in this corner over here. That's where the temporary truck wash will be, so they can clean the walls if there was power washing trucks. We did rough in for the future to put the truck wash outside, and there is the ability to wash trucks out there in the summer if they want. There was some solar panels on the roof, actually a solar wall we called it. That was deferred. And there was also a bridge crane in the shop that was deferred. It's roughed in, but it's deferred to a later date. The co-op, again, helped us and helped the budget in many ways. I mentioned that Corey took the role in charge of clearing the trees, and we had to get those down before June 1st because the northern long-eared bat nesting season was going to start. And believe it or not, the Minnesota DNR does not let you clear trees after June 1st if you're in a long-eared bat nesting area. So we got the trees down on the ground, and they sat here for a while, but that was okay, and then we cleaned them up before we started in August. We reused a bunch of equipment. You'll see the racking behind here. There's some equipment lockers behind that. There's equipment in the shop that was reused, all to save money. The co-op, because it's their business, decided to buy the generator and some of the electrical gear. They had sources that we didn't have, and they economically purchased a bunch of electrical gear. And believe it or not, the co-op paid the electric bill all through construction. So those things all helped. A couple of unique features in this building. It's built in and around a wetland, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's 4 wetland ponds around the building. And I think the architect did a really good job of hiding those ponds, and they'll even become harder to see as the landscape matures. But all the stormwater from the roof, or the parking lots, runs into these storm ponds. Hopefully it's absorbed into the ground. If not, it's not absorbed, it's cleaned and filtered before it is discharged. Another interesting thing, thanks to Sarah, we salvaged a few trees on the site and sent them to a co-op member who sawed them, kiln dried them, and shaped them into tongue and groove boards, and that's what's in the lobby as you walked in. If you saw the ceiling of the lobby, there's oak boards in the ceiling, and it's actually wood from the site, so that's a great story to tell and a great reuse of a product. We polished the floors in the building, the office building. I think it's very attractive, but it also saved us some money over other flooring products, and it's very easy to maintain. And the last unique feature is this corn crib looking tank here to the left. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but that's a 28,000 gallon water tank. And what it's used for is if there by chance is a fire in the building here, we have a well outside that serves this building, but the well only has a 22 gallon per minute pump in it, and it couldn't service the whole fire protection system. So the fire protection system would pump water out of this tank to suppress any fire in the building. So it's one of the things you deal with in a rural situation where you don't have a big source of water. So that's a fire, it's a metal tank with a rubber bladder on the inside, and it's filled dang near to the top with water. As far as technology, we have cameras, card access, intrusion detection, so that's a nice technology feature. We also have occupancy sensors, and I noticed during the meeting here, a few of the lights back here were going off and on, so if people don't move, and it's an energy saving feature, it shuts the lights off. And then we have a building automation system so that this building can be run automatically through a laptop computer, whether they're here in a remote location or whatever. But it's a very nice feature, and it's an energy saving feature. So that, in a very quick nutshell, is what I wanted to talk about. I think this is an incredible building, and it was an incredible effort by the co-op and its staff. I enjoyed the project immensely. We had a lot of fun, but we also, I think, produced a really fantastic building. And as Sarah mentioned earlier, it is coming in under budget. Numbers to be tallied very shortly, but like she said, a 6-digit number, which is nothing to very much to be proud of. So, again, fantastic team, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with the co-op.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you very much to McGraw for being the partner that we needed for this facility. It really worked out well for everybody, so thank you, Jim. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Trust Board representative, Chuck Kotsko, to give a Mille Lacs Trust Board report.
you. Okay, can everyone hear me all right? Good, thank you. Good evening. I'm here to give the Mille Energy Co-op Trust Board to give the annual report. The Trust Board was initially started in 1998, 26 years ago, and this board oversees and administers the money that is given out to needy local organizations in the Mille service area. The funds that are distributed quarterly are from consenting members of the cooperative who round up their monthly bill to the next dollar. This past year, 87% of the members participated, for which we are very grateful. And this amounts to about $6 a year for each member, and it adds up to about $20,000 per quarter for the trust to give out. The total amount distributed since 1998 is just over $1,589,000. That's quite a sum. The board is made up of 8 members, 1 from each MLAC district and 1 at-large member. Current members are Lisa Anderson and Mavon Prokop from Garrison, Bethany Sellers from McGregor, Becky Jorger from Palisade, Kim Wappen-Smith from Deerwood, Doyle Jelsing at-large member, and Bob Nelson and myself, Chuck Schatzko from Aiken. At our quarterly meetings, we discuss the applications and distribute the funds according to our bylaws, according to our trust fund policies and guidelines. Our mission statement is to be responsible stewards of the generosity of MLEC members, to distribute the trust funds in such a manner as to improve, enhance, foster, and benefit the lives of the citizens in the greater area of the cooperative. Major funding categories are, number 1, community service. These are entities and projects that affect the quality of life with emphasis on public safety, health care, self-sufficiency, and basic human needs, such as programs and projects which enhance the culture and environment of communities in our local area. Number 2, leadership development. Programs to improve problem-solving skills, self-reliance in identifying solutions to economic and social problems. Number 3, education and youth. Scholarships for ongoing education, especially for those involving youth, such as wellness, participation in fitness and athletic activities. Number 4, environment. Programs and projects that promote recycling, natural resources preservation, environmental education, environmental agricultural research. Number 5, emergency energy assistance. Number 6, disaster relief, programs that provide food, clothing, shelter, medical care, cleanup, and repairs. We also have to consider the potential benefits to the area residents and the communities. The level of community support for these programs and initiatives, and the capacity of the organization to deliver the service or programs. Recipients of the grants range from infants to the elderly, students to veterans. Examples include food shelves, health awareness programs, 4-H, select school programs, first responders, Habitat for Humanity, and cultural programs including arts and music. Since 1998, that $1,589,000 has made a very positive difference in the citizens of the MLAC service area. We want to graciously thank all the MLAC members for the foresight of the governing board who made this happen. I have to say this has been one of the most rewarding and gratifying boards that I have ever been on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck. And if there's anybody that is not part of Operation Roundup, I strongly encourage you to take a look at it, because it really does, it stays in the community and it helps our community. And as Chuck mentioned, we put a lot of money back into the community to help those that need help. At this time, I'd like to call on Henry Bucker for the election results.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. So for the election results, total ballots cast either by mail, online, or in person this evening is 1,547. For District 2, Carol Punt was unopposed and was elected by acclamation according to your bylaws. District 6, Bruce Robinson was unopposed and was elected by acclamation according to your bylaws. District 7, Mike Ream, unopposed and elected by acclamation according to your bylaws. District 2, first candidate Tiffany Guston received 708 votes. Second candidate Patrick Murphy received 839 votes. Patrick Murphy is elected for District 2. And then for your bylaw vote, voting yes, approving the bylaw change was 1,316. Voting no, not approving the bylaw change was 85. The bylaw change is approved.
Thank you, Henry, and congratulations, Patrick, on your election. Thank you to all the candidates who took the time to run again for the board position. At this time, we've come to the unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? If there is no unfinished business, is there any new business? If not, this is probably the hardest job that I get to do every once in a while, and hopefully not any more often than I have to. Patrick was elected to serve on the board of directors because Don Apple has decided for health reasons not to continue. We're going to miss Don. He's a very, very good board member, asks intelligent questions, challenges us with some of his observations, and will be sorely missed. And at this time, I'm going to depart from the podium and give Don a little gift to remember us by. At this time, we will do the Ask the Co-op questions. Do we have questions?
Good evening. My name is Corey Bricks at Mille Energy here. I am the construction and maintenance manager. One of the questions I had here was from Christina Dickinson here. Does Mille Energy offer job fairs? Will do. Sorry about that. Does Mille Electric offer job fairs in interested high school for, it's kind of dark up here, interested for high school students? We do. In fact, we've been talking with, we're going to be, we've always been part of the Aiken High School. for job fairs. We do plan on doing it again this year. We've been a little bit more busy than normal here lately with the building, the moving, a lot of construction outfits that we have going on and stuff like that, but we will be at Aiken High School. I can't say for the volume that we have been normally, but we will be there to some kind of an extent. Thank you for the lights. And also, part of the second part of the question is, do you offer ride-alongs for interested students who may be interested in line work or maintenance? That gets a little bit more tricky with the dangers that our line crew and everything run into out there. We will allow them to come in here, we can talk to them and show them what we have here at the complex itself, but as for a drive or a ride-along, that gets a little bit more tricky with things for the dangers out there. But it's something we can definitely look at. We just gotta keep everybody safe. Safety is number one goal at Mille. Second question from Kurt Miller. Why does power keep going off so often? We have had quite a bit, and Kurt Miller, are you still here? We have had some issues, and he lives down in our Upstead area, Upstead sub, that'd be on the east side of the lake, towards north of Isle area. We've had some issues with ourselves, with some of the power lines. That is kind of a lot of rural area out there. Everything's rural for the most part for Mille Energy. That seems to be a little bit more of an area for it. But we have had some interruption problems with Great River. We've been working with them, trying to get that addressed. We've had, I believe it was about 13 different episodes this summer alone where Great River had stuff happen on a transmission line. So it wasn't just the Upstead area, it was people from the Spirit Lake. You know, it has to do with our Spirit Lake sub, our Glen sub, and our Upstead sub. So that's been part of it. Now, when you start adding Great River's interruptions with ours, then it seems like it's a lot more often. So we are working with them, trying to get that addressed, trying to get some solutions done. It's on our radar. We are working with different spots down here. We have some voltage recorders. We've been trying to pinpoint the areas itself. There's a lot of underground in that area, so there's been a lot of things for us to have to go through. Infrared, noise detection is what we use to help locate such problems. We are working on it, and hopefully we have a solution soon. So, is there any other questions? All right, thank you.
It's interesting that the question about job fairs was asked. That was one of the topics at our strategic planning session, is how we can address some of that. The ride-along, like everything else, it's a liability issue. Insurance companies don't like putting other people in danger, and they kind of charge your rates accordingly. But we're looking at it, so thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, I'm Stacy Clough. I'm IT and broadband manager. So my question is, why does Paul Bunyan from Bemidji have our area in their internet area, and they're just south of KKN? Well, back in 2019, there was a funding program called RDOF, and Paul Bunyan bid on that area. We also were bidding on the areas, and it was like an auction type style, and the lowest bidder won. And so that's why they're building in the areas by, so just north of Aiken, they're by McGregor, Tamarack, and those areas. So unfortunately, we probably won't ever build in those areas because of why build over areas that are served by another fiber provider. It's not a good use of funds. So.
Thank you, Stacy. And that's something to keep in mind. The bulk of our fiber rollout has all been utilizing grants, and the grants have very, very goofy, dumb restrictions. Mark?
We had a question from Christine. Why can the state of Minnesota tax our utilities as in electric? I think that's a question better asked of your state legislatures and that kind of thing. One thing I can tell you about the electric portion of your bill, if you are a full electric house, during the months from October through March, there is no tax on the electric portion of your bill. But outside of that, we just have to follow the regulations, which of course are made by your state legislatures. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Sarah, looks like you got a couple.
Okay, the majority of the questions that I have that were handed to me were based on the access charge. And I believe that I covered everything as thoroughly as I could from a fact standpoint and our philosophy on rate making. And if anybody does want to talk further to me individually about the access charge, you can go ahead and grab me after the meeting and we can talk about that, but I won't take any more time talking about that right now. During the tour, I noticed the walls are bare. Will you be purchasing artwork or asking the members for donations? There are so many talented folks in the area, and I couldn't agree more. And the absolute answer is yes, for sure. We have some safety posters and some window boxes that were built, again, by McGough and their team out of the reclaimed wood that we're gonna put up around the building, and whatever we have room for after that. We're going to look at what kind of artwork, and I love the idea of going local and seeing what our local members have to offer for our facility. So stay tuned on that. Hopefully next year it doesn't look so drab. Are you going to keep the sign going outside the old building? Our intention had been to, yes, keep that sign going until the new owner occupied the building and chose to do with that whatever they wanted. It did experience a electrical splice during the construction progress, and we're just going to look at how much it costs to fix that versus getting it going before a new member takes over. So I apologize for the answer being unknown, but the intentions were scrambled after it got cut by the contractors. I'm going to give you the annual meeting, we got a couple of questions on that, and they were both related to the time and date of the annual meeting, and why don't we have it on the weekends? And it's a really fair and valid question, and I think that the short answer, and as selfishly as this sounds, is that my team works more than 5 days a week, every week, and they work nights, they work weekends, and having the meeting during the week with all of our employees able to attend has been a better turnout by both staff and, quite honestly, what we're seeing in the membership with so many people in attendance this time. And so the thought behind it was we want to maximize the amount of people that we can get to help volunteer, and with kids and everything, they have a lot going on the weekends. So with respect for all their time, we really have chosen to go during the week. And if we find that that's just continues to be inconvenient for folks, we can look at that. But right now, trying to take advantage of time for my staff and their families as best I can. And so that's why I know we hold it during the week. And I don't know if you have anything else to add, Harold? Okay. The lack of proper sidewalks. Who designed the sidewalks or lack of around the new building? And is it true that you need more storage? So the first part is that our architect designed the sidewalks, and I know there is a little lapse from the garage door to where people generally parked, and that was because this side of the building is intended for operations, and there's very little foot traffic that goes all the way through to the doors, and so it was intentional that the sidewalks ended at the community building, or the community room, I should say, excuse me. And so, so that's why we designed the sidewalks the way that we did. The additional storage, is it true that you will add on more storage? And it was always on the 10-year plan that we would put a cold storage facility out there for the semi-trucks in the winter and free up space for growth in this building as we continue to grow. and with the budget coming in so great under budget, that we are considering getting that cold storage in yet this year. And then we did have one comment that they wanted to say they had no questions or concerns, everything looks good, so thank you for that as well.
Come on. I still got one left too.
Oh, okay. I'll let you go last then. Good afternoon. A couple of questions here. One of them, most of them have to do with solar, but this one is, does MLEC have any program for installing electric vehicle charging stations, like specifically for like condos or hospitals? And at this point in time, we do not. We decided not even to put any at our new facility, so. This one, basically, again, these are all about distributed energy resources. And this one, again, is the north side of Mille Lake is a great wind resource, which we all know through our linemen know that there's a lot of wind over there. So, yeah, it's too far from a substation for us to even consider anything like that. And then there's a couple here about what are we doing to support wind and solar power? We interconnect with any customer that wants to interconnect. You can put up to a just less than 40 kW system in, and you can co-generate with us if you go through the right steps. I encourage anybody who's interested in solar to go to the Mille Energy website. There's a distributed energy resource library there that tells you about the whole process, what you have to go through, filing applications, getting a review, getting a tech review. And if you guys have any other questions on how we interconnect with and co-generate with people, feel free to give me a buzz. There is a question from an existing cogeneration member about the grid access charge. The grid access charge is based on state rules that we can charge up to so much for you to have access to the grid to sell your power to us or to other members. And basically, it's the first 3.5 kW is exempt from having any grid access charge, and then it goes up at $3.75 per kW after 3.5 and maxes out at $18. So up to 3.5 is free, you get up to 8.3 and you're maxed out. So anything below that, you could have a 40 kW system, your grid access charge is still going to be maxed out at $18, and that's just how it works. Does Mille have any solar energy programs for individual homeowners? I do not. We do not have any incentives, or we don't install it. But if you wanted me to send you some contractors who have worked with other members and successfully interconnected with us, I'd be glad to do so. Please contact me at the co-op. The other one was, when are we going to bring the solar panels down from the old building? Those are actually owned by Great River Energy, and Mille doesn't own those, so we probably won't be bringing them here. They'll probably stay with the building and get sold at that point in time to the new owner. So, thanks a lot. Scott Nutting.
Thank you, everyone, but I have to note that Sarah gave me the hardest question, of course. The question is, how is net zero going to affect energy prices in 2030, 2040? And I can tell you that it's probably going to increase energy prices. Great River Energy is looking at every possibility that they can, but one of the things that they noticed, and this is just the way it works, the day after Minnesota announced their net zero by 2040, all of the wind contracts doubled in price because the developers know that everybody needs the renewable resource. The renewables are also a problem from the standpoint that if you install a 300 megawatt solar facility, you're not going to get credit for 300 megawatt because MISO, our agent, the regional transmission provider, they know that solar only is valid in a certain period of time. So you're not going to get credit, which means if you're relying on 300 megawatts of storage, of solar, you're going to need to probably do 600 megawatts of build. All of that drives up the cost. The good news is that from GRE's current projections, the 2030 goal is not going to be a problem. GRE has it all figured out that they can get to the 90%. It's that last 10% that's going to be a challenge, and it's probably going to be expensive. That's why talk to your legislators before they sign some of this stuff. Any other questions? There are no other questions. We are adjourned.
What is the breakdown of coal, wind, and solar, and how does it break down for our electricity?
Well, you would ask me. I'd have to look it up. I think right now GRE is about 60%, 60, 70% non-coal. Non-coal. GRE has closed 3 coal plants and got out of another coal contract that they had with a generator in Wisconsin. So they've reduced their carbon by that much. Any other questions? If not, we are adjourned except for the most important part of the evening, door prizes. I'm not sure who's doing those. Oh, Cassie is. I should have known. Cassie does everything. Okay, I'm out of here, Cassie.